more. Meet me, 4601. It is, he sent me an email.
He's
Good for him.
6 hours ahead of us.
Here at B.
If you'd like to join us in a short prayer today. Dear Lord, patron of the United States of America, sorrowful and mindful of our own sinfulness and the sins of our nation, we come to you, our refuge and our hope. Knowing that our country cannot be saved by our own works, and mindful of how our nation has departed from the ways of your Son, we humbly ask that you would turn your eyes upon our country to bring about its conversion. We consecrate to you the integrity of the upcoming election and its outcome, so that what is spiritually and morally best for the citizens of our country may be accomplished. That all of those who are elected will govern according to the spiritual and moral principles which will bring our nation into conformity with the teachings of your Son. Grace to the citizens of this land, so that they will choose leaders according to the Sacred Heart of your Son, and that his glory may be made manifest, lest we be given the leaders we deserve. Trusting in the providential care of you, our Father, we have perfect confidence that you will take care of us and not leave us forsaken. Heavenly Father, pray for us. Amen.
Amen.
And now, okay.
Join me in our pledge to our flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Good morning. So before we get started, I just want to throw out our thoughts and prayers to our neighbors to the south with what they've been through and what they have coming in. Watching the news last night, it looks like this one's going to be a dandy that's going to hit Florida. So our continued thoughts and prayers with them. I just want to make mention of our military. We've had some military activation that's been sent to the unstabilized regions of the world. So let's keep them in our thoughts and prayers as we move forward also. So thank you. We're going to get started this morning. I want to open the October 8th special meeting of the Steuben County Council. And we get through our agenda items and then we'll close this meeting out. We'll get into our continuation of our 2025 budget session is our plan for today. So Sheriff, you get to lead us off this morning.
Well, good morning, Council. Thank you. Morning, Auditor.
Good morning.
Morning, Sheriff.
Good morning. So the first thing I've got, or the only thing I've got here is regards to inmate medical. I'm asking for an additional, but it's actually the reimbursement we receive from the Department of Corrections on medications that we spend on those inmates, select inmates. That comes out of a separate fund we have to have outside of our medical contract. So our medical contract that we have with Quality Care covers a number of items. High dose, high dollar medications are not covered. A lot of our cancer, AIDS, tuberculosis, those kind of things, those medications are very costly. We have to pay out of pocket for those. If they're a DOC inmate, we're reimbursed. So we go through the process and we only get a check. We were getting them pretty regularly, but now they're back down to about maybe once or twice a year. They're going to start reimbursing us for those. So that account, we normally keep 10,000 and we're down, as you can see, right down to the last couple hundred, I believe. So I'm asking for those funds to be placed. All my reimbursements and my housing costs and everything goes to the general fund. I don't put anything, nothing comes back into any budget that I have. So that's why I'm here to ask. And that is the year-to-date reimbursement, what we've received so far.
A motion. Ready for a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Right hand, I'm sorry.
You confused us.
You have to keep you guys on your toes. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Yep.
I'll go do mine.
Sure will.
Back to ask for permission to appropriate the opioid fund for the purchase of one AED instead of two.
So this to go back to the county commissioners, and because it is a county building, the commissioners believe that at least one of them needs to be paid for by the county. He is going to pay for the other one out of his fund. Which one was that, Brett? You remember?
1122.
1122, thank you.
We have a motion to move forward with Brett's proposal.
Is that Ruth?
Ruth, yeah.
We got a second?
I'll second.
Lisa?
Lisa? All right.
So I did not have to re-advertise that. I had already advertised it once, and you guys had asked for that to be basically tabled and go back to the commissioners. So it's already been advertised. So as soon as it's done, then Brett, I'll get you the account number and you'll be ready to go.
All right, thank you.
All right, we got a first and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. 6-0.
6.
Okay, thank you, Brett.
Thank you.
Commissioner Howard.
Morning.
Good morning. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items, I believe.
No, not quite, but yes.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the 7180 are the certified public manager classes that we've approved for
You are correct.
4 employees taking.
They had me advertise it in 2 different funds. It's like lit
So that, what's the other one?
and county general. You guys just get to decide which one you want to take it from.
I'll entertain a motion. With the stipulation of what fund it will come out of.
That in the motion?
Pardon me?
You want that in the motion, or would you like to discuss which fund you want to take it out of first?
We can discuss what fund we're gonna take it out of first. Got a pretty hefty balance.
There's the-
For the current
There's
balance,
general.
is that new? I don't
Yeah,
remember seeing
Anne's
that.
been,
I really like that.
she's been tweaking all the forms for you guys.
Thank you.
We're trying to make it easier for everybody.
So we have pretty hefty balances in both lines, both lit and general.
It's an appropriate expenditure out of either one of those line items, I would say.
That's exactly what I thought too. It fits both. It's flipping the coin as to which one.
So, if you'd like a motion, I'd make a motion to take it out of the 1112 lit economic development, 7180.
I will second that.
CC, out of those fund 1112. Good. We have a first and we have a second. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, raise your right hand. So taking it out of fund 1112. Good. Next on your list is $247,574.15.
I'll let Commissioner Laughlin speak to that. He was greatly involved in arranging.
Yeah, that's the, come up there, come on. That would be the restricted funds for the opioid settlement money that will be coming in, I think, through 2036, Kelly?
I think that's the year. It's a long,
Yeah, it's quite a bit.
it's a long time.
So set up a program with the Community Foundation along with Angola. We'll have a board that is set aside. Those funds will be administered through that board, and they'll vet the people that are coming to request those funds for the programs. So it'll be made up of, I think, someone from Cameron, representative from the county, the city, and some of the other drug, I think maybe an officer as well. So that's what we have set up. It's the model that's been used through some other counties, Huntington counties. I think had it for a year. It's done very well. So
The thought is then it lasts longer than a one-time
Right.
use.
Yes.
It becomes a fund that can
Sorry.
be drawn on for years and
yes.
years.
So I think it's 50% goes, will go out, the 50% will go into the fund, and then, yeah, it'll live on forever. So that's the idea. I think it'll give out 50,000 a year with that set up.
And is it all drug?
It has, so it's restricted funds, so they set the guidelines for that, so it has to fall under those guidelines. So, through the settlement, there's restrictions on that, so it has to follow those restrictions. So this board will vet the people that are requesting money for those restricted funds. So that, we don't have 2 or 3 people coming to us a month that we have to vet for to give those out. This board will be doing that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love collaboration.
Yeah. So Mayor Martin was very happy to do it, and we get all the funds since Fremont or like Orland don't collect enough. The county gets those. Basically, just us and Angola are the ones that are getting those funds because of the way that it was set up. So
Is it 7 population?
yeah.
Has to do with the dollar amount.
Yeah, it was. Sorry, yeah, 10,000 I think was the bank. Yeah.
If each municipality received less than that, $10,000 at all reverted back to the county.
Yeah, and then there's unrestricted, which we've actually used for a K-9 vehicle already. So with the sheriff's office, so we still get some of that money that's coming in. So
Very good.
Yeah.
Any more questions for Andy? Entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
And I will second it.
We have a first and a second. Any further discussion? In favor, raise your right hand. So,
Happy birthday,
sure.
Happy birthday, Commissioner Laughlin.
Oh, thank
A day early.
Happy birthday.
big 5-0.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
It is so decorated for you today.
Just be young.
Yeah.
Sierra. All right, next on the agenda is a rainy day request for $750,000 for the jail roof replacement as approved at the May 6, 2024 commission.
So and there were 2 funds that the commissioners recommended. And I brought it to council and I listened back through, because I don't have them typed, listened back through the minutes, and y'all said either one, whichever one the commissioners want. You did not vote or select. Talked to Commissioner Howard again about it. Ann and I made an executive decision, and it's coming out of rainy day.
See, wasn't there some kind of joke about taking the
Yep.
roof out of rainy day?
Mhm.
I remember that.
So see how they're billing us for it. This is just the additional appropriation for it. It was approved way back.
Any further questions for the commissioner? Ready for a motion? If not, here, do we have a second?
How's that?
Should I? All right, I have a first and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. 6-0.
The sheriff is grateful for that and the commissioners are because the roof's about half done and we have to start paying.
Yeah.
Are they doing a good job for you?
That's been excellent. Company that the commissioners got has been great. Martin Riley's been great. They'll be done at the end of the month. So we're scheduled for the 30th around there, right around Halloween to be done.
I know they're working some long hours. You
Yeah.
get by there in the evening, you can see them climbing up and down the ladder.
The weather, they've been running the weather. So, but yeah, they're about done. So
it's a 30-year roof?
I don't remember what the actual warranty was on it. I'm going to say 8. The walls aren't going to hold it up.
The
roof will still be there. The roof will be there.
You put those solar panels on there.
Yeah, September.
All right, next item on the agenda is our monthly transfer from our insurance administration and claims to our health insurance. The total amount of $222,356.96. I'll entertain a motion for this. What'd you say?
Did I move that repair claims?
I'll second that.
All right, I have first and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand.
A little lower.
6-0.
That's what closing back.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. That was as easy as it gets, right? Well, $750,000.
Oh, he's good.
Lee, you are up. Good morning.
There are two things that on the agenda for today. The first one is a request for approval to apply for the salary reimbursement portion of grant, the EMPG grant that is there for our office this year. We would like to apply for the full 30,000 that we are eligible for. As a reminder, this is the grant that we're applying for that will be awarded in 2025 will be for this year's salary 2024. So it is a year in the rear. And with the bringing on board of Deputy Director Phillips, we will be able to utilize the full 50% for my salary plus help supplement his salary as well.
Would you like a motion?
I would like a motion.
I make a motion to approve that.
I will second that.
Who was that?
Me.
Tony and Christina. All right, we have a first and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. 6-0.
Okay, the second item on the agenda is just as promised, a brief opportunity to discuss the commodity flow study that was done this year by the CESCO group. Were they? I'm not gonna go through the whole thing.
Separate attachment.
You guys have it and can review it as you wish. But I would like to just kind of point out a few things, kind of a high elevation, and be as brief as possible. The study was done around the end of July, early August. There were 96 hours that were spent on this with 3 different locations. The US 20 80-90 overpass, US 20 I-69, and then in the vicinity of 69 and 80-90. I believe that the study says that there were roughly 16,000 plus trucks that haul commodities through the county, 469 of them, averaging as hazardous materials. I believe our hourly rate was somewhere around 169 trucks per hour that pass through. 8090 had the highest volume with 236 trucks per hour. However, every single one of the areas that they watched, which is again 8090, 69, and US 20 are over 60 trucks per hour, which means that every minute of every hour of every day we have at least one truck semi passing through our county. With that being said, Interstate 69 northbound had the highest density for hazardous materials. The highest hazardous material that is transported throughout the county is propane. I don't think that's a big sticker shock, followed closely by diesel fuel. There are some hazardous materials, again, you can look through the graph and see what they are that are there. But the important information is that we will be able to take this data back to our LEPC to dissect and tear apart, take it back to emergency responders to be able to share with them, and then be able to work on training local emergency responders how to be able to respond to disasters if it is in fact with either a hazardous material or a large transportation carrier of any means of some sort. What I found interesting with the study is 96 hours was spent, which was less than what was done in 2015. 2015, if you recall, when I proposed this was to do all of the state roads due to the funding we had to tailor it back some. But we had more trucks discovered in the study this year with less amount of hours than we had with total amount of hours versus trucks in 2015. So as we discussed at the beginning of this, truck traffic has increased. Now we have a better idea of what is being transported throughout the county. So it's just more of an informational type thing. Wanted to have an opportunity to bring it to you before we started making it public to the emergency responders in the community. With the information made available to them that we can then move forward with kind of training with them alongside that. So, and if there are any, I can do my best to answer them.
Would this be a tool that we can use with Chip when he's putting together our road safety plan?
This is now owned by the county, so it can be shared with Chip, absolutely.
I was just thinking, we went through all of that, trying to get that safety plan with the federal government about funds. It just seems like it'd be a piece that would work with that.
Yes, I would agree.
Anything else for Lee? Thank you, Lee.
Thank you.
Right. We know if you want that.
Kelly, you're up.
All right. Ordinance number 1023. We are requesting to rescind ordinance number 752. It was the Steuben County option dog tax ordinance. It is not being utilized. It hasn't been utilized in years. The only thing we do with it is order the dog tags, give them to the shelter, and then the shelter is supposed to turn in reports on it. Actually know that we're not even getting the numbers back that they're handing out. There's been little success with it. We can't get the required documentation. The shelter only retains 75 cents for every dog tag. So we are one of the only counties in the state of Indiana that even still has this. Everybody else has already gotten rid of it. Checked with Don, and per Indiana Code 6-9-39-4, it states that the fiscal body may rescind this ordinance at any time. So it is a lot more work than what we are even getting out of it. And part of it goes back to the state too. I don't know what the state does with it, but we are keeping like this much. It's just not worth having. If the shelter wants to, we can get with the shelter afterwards. And if they want to charge, if they still want to do dog tags and they want to charge, at least then they'd be able to keep all the money for it instead of just 75 cents.
My concern is, if there is one, that we need to make sure that the Kids Humane Shelters is partially a responsibility of the county, right? So there's some vulnerability there. So animals roving around need to be contained and or taken care of. Does that eliminate our abilities to navigate by eliminating that?
What was the last part of that, Tony?
Well,
Is that limit?
Are we taking a more hands-off approach to that? Is the question based on that?
This is just literally for the dog tags.
Right.
Right, but I mean, it's a,
So you're asking if this is going to affect the dog pickup within Steuben County, coming out of the humane shelter? Correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner, but I think we have a fee for service with the Humane Society or Humane Shelter that they're paid X amount of thousands of dollars a year for that service to pick up stray dogs and cats.
So there's not going to be any issues with that.
There shouldn't be a disruption of service.
Will that impact their finances?
75 cents per tag.
Are they the only ones that dog tags, since you said the humane shelter? I'm just curious. I don't have anything to do with my dog, but I swear I paid my vet to tag him. Is that not?
I know that we
Like the
adopted
rabies,
from the shelter.
Oh, the rabies
because I get a
tag.
rabies tag
Yeah.
for our dogs.
Okay, so this is only talking about dogs that go in and out of the
shelter.
humane shelter.
I know mine, we adopted a year ago in January, and I was not listed on the report. So they've had so much changeover back and forth. Anne has trouble getting the reports from them. Some go out, new people come in, they don't know they're supposed to do it. We can talk to them about, I'd be happy to talk to them about setting up their own.
And Kelly's saying that they can still do it, it just didn't come to us.
I just want to make sure that we're not
You just don't want a disruption in service.
Yeah.
That's it.
Actually, I think if you step out, if they can charge,
Whatever they want.
whatever they have to actually.
Let them run their own program in the house.
They can't do that, but the county has. They don't.
I need to read this ordinance or not. 752.
You have the option of reading it by ordinance number, or
Okay.
you can read the whole thing.
Okay.
If the board says, read it by ordinance number, you may.
Okay. Is everybody okay with that?
You read it by number and title, right there.
All right, so I will entertain a motion for ordinance number 752. It's an ordinance enacting,
Right here, ordinance number 1023.
oh, I'm sorry.
Read that one.
I don't see this attachment on my email. Ordinance number 1023, an ordinance rescinding the Steuben County option dog tax, ordinance number 752. So I will entertain a motion. Okay, do we have a second? Bruce? Okay, we have a first and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. 6-0.
Hey, Christina,
Raise my hand.
5-1.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I thought you did.
No, it's okay. I just don't know if we're missing something.
It's got to be read 3 times, right?
Right.
So we have just need more time to do some.
Do something about it. Okay.
Yeah, so you can either,
Mine isn't that. Mine is just the.
yeah, you can either suspend the rules and we can finish it, or we can bring it back again.
I'm okay with bringing it back. If any of our board members want to do some further follow-up, they have time to do that. Out of fairness. All right. So before we get into our other business, when we were at our AIC conference a couple weeks ago, council president, Dan Caruso, was not present. He was unable to make it, but he did receive an award. The AIC Institute for Excellence in County Government, Institute for Excellence Certification for continuing their education through the AIC, which is the Association of Indiana Counties. So I just want to commend Dan to reaching that. He's been at it for what, 13 years now, 14 years, 12 years. And so what a great recognition for our council president. All right, other business. October 24, additional appropriation resolution. I think that's for the dog.
That number 1 on it. So we are. Yes.
Do we have to scratch one of those trainings off of there?
I am going to mark the county general as 0. I am check marking lit.
Okay.
Opioid,
Restriction.
rainy day, and then the first one was the sheriff's.
Okay,
So, and this only requires 1 reading.
okay, so I'll entertain a motion for the additional appropriation resolution.
I'll move to approve with those changes being made.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have first and second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. So. For your signature. Next is the monthly financial and monthly comparison report. I guess you want to discuss that real quick, Kelly, on
So August is coming back around because it didn't get approved before, because we didn't have it in time. So that one, I just need you guys to state that you've seen it and that you approve it, and then that just gets signed and turned in. The one for September, I made a couple notes on it, on a couple of negatives. And on page 4 for September, there were some corrections that were made by the auditor's office that at that time had not been updated by the treasurer's office. Once those are updated, that adjustment will go away and it'll show that we balance on that. But it was just, I think it just got entered into the wrong line, if I'm not mistaken, Ann, is that correct? Yeah, so it was just a correction we made on mine. But
You're we are.
yeah, but it's still gonna show this way until it's corrected on the other side. And I think that was it on those.
everybody had a chance to review those. I'll ask for a motion that we've reviewed the prepared financial and monthly comparison reports for August and September.
Make that motion. For August and September.
A second.
Is that Ruth?
That was really.
All right.
I told you we just have to copy this.
You're fine. All right, we have a first and second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. 6-0. Sign those or anything
You
in
can,
Dan's absence.
you may. And then just sign it and I'll fix things.
Right here.
Thank you.
Okay.
And the one more. Which one was that? And I don't have a line yet. There you go. There we go.
There you go. Good with that?
I'm good with that.
All right. Also in our packet is the July 2024 wheel tax report. All right.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
They're a little behind on getting those to us.
Questions?
That's how much we took in. Just trying to understand that.
So, what page are you on, Christine, or what?
49.
You're on the
right?
first page of the report.
Yes. So when you're looking at the distribution amount all the way to the right, is that for 1 month?
This is just for July.
So it is. So that's how much we made from wheel tax in July of 2024.
Yes, and then down below it's broke down on the entities.
Yeah, it's broke down. I'm sorry.
The county
So-
actually is 124,057.86.
I apologize. You're right. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
Then we'll keep going with it.
And this new report's a little hard to follow
I know.
sometimes.
Did I catch the breakdown for that, for you guys? Yeah, right there. Yep, you've got it.
Yes. Sure did. Okay. No further questions, I'll entertain a motion that we have reviewed the wheel tax report.
Make that motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Have first and a second, any further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. 6-0. All right, Steuben EDC letter.
That was emailed back in October, or October 1st.
You have a copy of it?
I do not.
I thought I had it somewhere. I must have not saved it right.
I didn't put it in the packet since I had emailed it. It was just
I'm
for,
going to go look it up. My computer response, October the 1st. Association of Indiana. It's EDC.
That's too bad.
Here it is. That's this. I think we all get it
Okay.
ourselves
Yep, we all
anyways.
get it. Assistant informational.
It's
Yeah.
what's going on with them.
Okay. We need to
are you
take
guys
action
all,
on that.
are you guys all signed up to get that?
Got it.
Okay,
Very good.
I just wanted to forward it in case you didn't.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so funny because it's from him and then you're immediately the next one with it attached again.
All right, we've already talked about Brett and his request for his AED, so that completes our agenda for our special meeting. So I will entertain a motion to close this meeting out. Oh,
Just one thing, don't mind. On the counter behind you is a award that was presented to Steuben County, and Commissioner Shelton accepted it on behalf of the county
oh, nice.
for our collaborative efforts with Trine University.
I know, I almost bum rushed the stage. I was there and they talked about Steuben County and I was like, well, that's me. My husband says, keep your behind in that seat.
Yeah, we were there.
We were there.
Nice.
It was a nice presentation.
It was.
Very nice that, got to work with Trine and to have that recognition. That's not always been the case in the past, so.
Seems like everybody always forgets the government entity.
Yeah.
So it was really cool that they didn't.
Anything else?
I have one thing.
Okay.
And this has been on my desk for a little while. You guys had slipped out of a meeting without signing an ordinance. And I had sent an email out asking for y'all to stop back in. Rick was the only one that did.
Oh, jeez.
And I would like it off my desk. So if you would all please sign next to your name, I would appreciate it.
Email and then I totally forgot about it.
You see the- I forgot about it too.
Yeah.
I'd like to after we close out.
I even put your motions on there.
Yeah, I can see that, because I was like, oh, mine says no.
Oh, one other thing. In the commissioners meeting yesterday, there was an update from Jody Kinsey and USI Insurance. Some good information that she presented. She's doing her due diligence, taking things to market, trying to get the best rates for us. They are going to, I am correct, Commissioner, they are going to change our prescription carrier, or in the process of one that actually has a better rate and better service. So, but if you get a chance, it is on the YouTube channel. You can watch your presentation there if you want, or play this and we can make copies and everybody can have a copy. This is in the commissioner's meeting. Just want to bring that up for those that have been interested about our insurance.
Well, since you poked the bear.
I
think
did not
could say-
say any name.
I just want to say thank you for that, but I also want to continue to encourage open RFP to outside, or at least have an outside group look at our benefits package to see if there's something that is more beneficial to the employees of the county and saving the constituents in this county money. So that is I will not let up on that, but I appreciate that there is some savings here being addressed, but I think that there's probably more on the bone there. Thank you very much, Rick Scheid.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you for signing this.
All right, anything else? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close out our special meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Tony Isa first. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
CC, all in favor, raise your right hand. All right, let's take about a 10-minute break. Organize our thoughts, organize your paperwork before we open the budget session.
So what I did is say for the budget.
Well, I might,
Mary Martin.
Yes.
She needs to change that. Maybe
That's kind of where we're at.
she needs to.
Open up in there.
Desk.
Yep.
oh, yeah.
Spin this one around.
That's the key, just take that, go to IT, have to update your security on there, then you won't have to go through that because you did not do that.
So
Oh, wait, here, let's start.
Get to the work. I had to.
Yeah.
And about halfway through, when you're about ready to fall through, somebody follows.
Yeah, it takes about them out.
Oh, yeah.
I just have their blue chairs.
Yeah.
We sit back like,
Can you check?
Hit the ground.
Do you have, what do you have, address?
That was my issue, yes, and then. Yeah, like today, get hit the head, it all gets. Safe.
Sure.
Yes.
Oh, that's the trailer stuff I hated.
1045 West State Road 120. On the entrance west someplace, so. And then we're staying in Tennessee overnight.
It's not in Tennessee.
It is a little bit, but it's not where the district is at. Not way over there.
You need any other?
But it doesn't.
Can we bring back Travis meeting?
I guess that is.
Yeah.
Literally forgot to ask.
Run out of gas, the gas stations.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. My husband
I don't know.
is, it's, I can. I'm getting this. They don't
Well, they stay in a hotel,
Okay, I have a Gmail. Let's see if you. See if you probably Google.
I was thinking about having to.
They have to step out.
Let's see if I can add your mail account.
Hey, Kelly,
Yes,
so can I get a copy of that?
which
And
one?
my letter?
Yes,
Also, make sure HR gets that.
I already did.
You already did?
Yep.
Does,
I gave it to HR and payroll.
does the clerk need that?
I was gonna ask.
And then I also need to know what's happened, so am I going to have to cut right that day or am I for sure?
It goes to the end of the month, but get with Erin on that because she can tell you exactly, but it goes to the end of the month of the date. you want.
What, is that in your email that we were looking at?
There's a text.
Oh, text? Okay, call your text up again. Okay, now, you should just be able to have a forward. check.
Like,
You have a forward.
Yeah.
There you go, here's my name. Just
No. Well, I have to have Mary Martin on it.
Not, is it on your phone?
My phone.
It's, then you, no, you don't need,
She sent it to me.
yeah. Then you just, like my. It's forwarded over to me. What's that?
I was prepared to call you. Austin, like, if we gotta move furniture, we'll do furniture.
I could pull your name up and it'll have your text. Do you think that'll do it?
I don't know what.
Yeah, I got the line. It's fine.
I didn't know what history.
Oh, here you go, here you go. Okay, now it's gone, so. Okay, so that's how you call. That's how you call. That's not how you forward a text.
Kind of reminds me of the old westerns. It reminds me kind of the old westerns.
Yeah. Have somebody come out.
You can mute it. Yeah, you can.
Here's, I go here for text,
What does that say?
messages.
Yeah.
And I'll let you go. Amen.
I don't know where Ann's at. Do you know if her number was 150 or 155? Or does Ann have that number?
Or your insurance,
Yeah,
I think it was 155.
that's it.
Just, yeah.
We'll get to it.
Okay. We're not done.
Okay.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And open our continuation of the 2025 budget session. Before we get into a couple of housekeeping items, I want to go ahead and take care of the solid waste district. Third and final reading of their budget proposal. So we've done our first reading, we've done our second reading. So we just need to do third reading today for the solid waste district for all funds total of $2,967,343. So I will entertain a motion for the solid waste district.
Move to approve.
Ruth Bear first. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Lisa Aldrich. I have a first and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. 6-0. Okay, so that's that. And before we open with conversation regarding our 2025 budget, I would like to open the floor for a second reading. We're not going to do our second public hearing today. We're going to do that on the 28th. So we just want to do second reading today of our budget, and then we'll get into our items of discussion. So all our funds total for the Steuben County budget is $45,743,680. So I will entertain a motion for the second reading of our budget.
Make that motion.
For Chite. I have a second.
I'll second.
Lisa Aldrich. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. 6-0. Passed on second reading. Anything else in here?
Done.
That's good. So the funds out.
Yep.
Okay, so as we go into our discussions this morning, I have a list of items that have been a carryover from our past sessions within this room, discussions that have taken place. And I would like to go down my list that I know that we need to clean up. Then we'll open it up for the remainder of the board, if that's okay, if you have any items of discussion. So first and foremost, this doesn't have to do with the budget, but just a reminder, the meet and greet this afternoon with Elise, our comptroller for the state of Indiana, at 3:00. There was an email sent out from, I think, her marketing or her promotion, some department or somebody. So that's still on for today.
Where's it at?
In here.
Here.
In here.
I'm sorry, I will not be able to be in Indianapolis.
All right, so item number one is just kind of a clarification after some more fact finding. So originally, we had looked at our county park superintendent's salary and had taken the taxable fringe that was decided upon of $10,000 off his salary, correct?
Mhm.
So we need to correct that. And based on information we received from, Aaron, help me out here. Who helped us with this? White, Irwin, and Shealy? So that that has been amended in our new budget packet that was sent out to us. Scott is actually, or that position is actually entitled to make the $58,656 based on the FSLA standard. The $10,000 that was agreed upon is actually going to become a taxable fringe benefit for him for that position. Okay, so salary will be $58,656 based on FSLA. And then $10,000 will be a taxable fringe. So any questions about that? No? All right. Second item is some clarification. There's been some questions asked in regards to EMS and the new medic one that's been assigned to that department. And do we need to look at that as a taxable fringe? I can answer that no. Because that vehicle has not been assigned solely to a person. It's been assigned to a department as an on-call vehicle for the paramedics. So it has not been assigned to any one person in particular. So this is just a little housekeeping to clean it up. And so there's no action that needs to be taken by council in regards to that matter. Anybody have any questions about that? Or comments? No? Okay. Good. Moving on. Another housekeeping item is in the budget packet, looking through last night, the $4,042 for the corner perpetuation fund for the surveyor's office was still listed in here. It's been corrected, so that's going to be taken out because we had voted as a council at one of our last meetings to decline that. So that's going to be fixed. So that matter's been taken care of. So next on my list is, it was talked about and presented for, based on the WIS study, we have 29 employees that will not be entitled to raises in 2025. It was brought up possibly a $500 something. So we're looking at a total of $14,500 for that cost. One item I want to bring up in regards to that is this is a one-time give going into 2025. However, we have asked and we have talked and in our public meetings that this study is a 2-year outreach. So that takes us into 2025, going into 2026. These 29 people will fall back to what the WIS numbers are if we do not take action in next year's budget cycle. I just want to put that out there.
They
Fall back.
They would be at the current wage.
Right, they'd be at the current
So they fall back.
rate
They just
based
wouldn't get a
on,
raise for 2 years.
Yeah, this is a bonus that doesn't get baked into their wage. It doesn't stay in their wage.
That's something that can be addressed next year's budget.
right.
If we want to do something
Again.
amenable.
So I'm just putting it out there. This is just some conversation that's taking place looking ahead to 2025 or 2025 budget session going into 2026. Now, if we want to continue with the $500 proposal for the 29 people, then we need to decide today where we want to fund that from. Do we want to look at approaching the ARPA committee and moving it forth through there? Or do we want to include this $14,500 out of the adjustment we're going to have to make at the end of today? So Kelly can do her salary ordinance and have it ready in time based on the advertisement period. So that's the question at hand here. How do we want to move forward and fund this? Right now, we're $155,000 that we have to supplement that we're short for the general budget.
And this is for 2025?
Yes.
Okay.
So the question today is we have to decide how to move this forward, either through ARPA funding for the $500 or include it in the adjustment that we're going to have to make at the end of today's meeting.
Just clarification, the updated budget, does that have any of that in it? Or this is not in it yet?
The 500 is not in it anywhere.
I just want to make sure. I know what I was looking at.
I would suggest that this would be a good number for ARPA. I think there's some resources in there that they can, I think, handle, or at least, but we have some ARPA people on this council. I would love to hear your thoughts on that. I think there's enough funding for that. That way it's not taking out of our insurance. I think that is more important.
And I have no problem with that, but my only observation on a timeline schedule, if we have to wait for a next ARPA meeting.
So we talked about that yesterday, Ruth, and we can
Okay.
actually have an ARPA meeting on the 21st prior to the start of the commissioners meeting. And then move it forward from there. And then on the 28th, we can act on it as a council at our 28th meeting.
That was just a concern.
And will that give you time for your advertisement timeline that Ruth had asked
Got a
about?
couple other things that I have to advertise for the 28th, so I will just put it in there.
Okay.
And then if you don't do ARPA, it's just a zero.
Commissioner, if that's okay, if we can have an ARPA meeting on the morning of your commissioners meeting before you all start.
Without, if I may ask.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I have a question. Does the 14.5 have to come out of general? So don't we have room and lit?
Yeah. Well,
My question is do we have to look at ARPA or can we take it from lit since there was room in lit?
we have all of those funds balanced right now. We prefer not to pull it from there. I would prefer to pull it from ARPA or insurance. We have every single one of these funds balanced for you guys so that they are set so that any revenue coming in has been taken into account. The amount that people wanted to spend has been taken into account. That's my personal opinion.
I think you're looking at that whiteboard. I don't know that it's correct.
Those numbers are not.
It may not be correct.
But
Yeah,
when
I
we
don't think
talk,
that's what she was asking.
yeah, no, mine is when we balanced it, we pulled it out and looked at it separately, right?
Yeah.
There was still room there of 20,000. 14.5 is less than that. Mine is if you didn't have to take from ARPA, if you didn't, it was a question. It just fit inside the budget where we didn't have to take from anywhere else, was my thought. But if you don't think it's going to be any issue with ARPA, it was just a question of,
I think either ARPA or the insurance line items, either one's going to be fine.
We have $5 million budgeted for insurance. It's a lot.
More than we normally do.
yes, I know. I knew that there was that extra line.
So does anybody want to make a motion on how we move forward with this? We'll entertain one.
If we can continue to have this discussion before we make the motion, right? Or was that within the guidelines or not?
Nobody's made a motion yet, no?
Okay, so I mean,
Make a motion.
and I'm not careful. I'm trying to, but if it fits within the puzzle, doesn't it make more sense to put it in the puzzle? Is the question, I think,
The puzzle meaning the insurance, taken from the insurance.
or
line.
lit. If it fits within the lit. Is the question, right? I mean, and I'm not just co-signing, I'm asking the question, right? It's more work over here, but I'm asking, does it make that big a difference? Or is it the right answer? I'm asking to want to understand.
Well,
right?
lit is economic development. I'm assuming that's what you're referring to, 11-12. Economic development.
We pay
This is more in general, a general item.
But we pay wages out of both.
We do.
Eat a man of fish.
To your question, Christina, there is room in there right now. We have 114,495 play.
You say 114?
Yes.
I apologize. I did not get the time to spend this weekend like I want. I had 2 family emergencies and I planned to be a little bit more prepared.
Why do we have these discussions?
I'm going to make a motion then that we just pass to the ARPA committee, taking or adding the $500 appreciation bonus from ARPA.
We have a motion on the floor. 14,500 to move forward to the ARPA committee. We have a second to that motion.
Have we identified the dollar amount? Is that what it
There
is?
has to be a second.
But he said 14.5. That wasn't her motion.
I just said the $500.
Which is the
Right.
14.
Which is,
Sorry, Tony.
Make it second. Make it to a second. We can discuss it.
I'll second Ruth's motion.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a second to move further along in our conversation.
So what is yours?
Further discussion.
I would like to revisit. I believe that, yes, this is spending, but this is also investing and showing appreciation. I would like to see our commissioners and our council get that $500 each. I think that what they have worked for and what they have worked hard on and the hours and the painstakingness that it's $500. And you know what? This council and that commissioner group works incredibly hard to try to make sure that they solve the answers, do what's necessary. And I am an advocate that I believe that you all have worked incredibly hard and deserve. And it's just it's a sign of appreciation to say thank you for your hard work and your caringness.
Okay, so what I'd like to do with that, Tony, after we get through our first and second,
You put a dollar amount on that.
we will revisit the conversation and we'll put that to vote as well. So right now we have a first and second.
You can do it with Ruth's motion of 500.
Oh.
So that just in
Does she
case.
just need to amend it?
Nope. If you don't want to do the 14.5, whatever it was,
That's why.
for the $500. And you can go with her motion and then by chance, had we missed one or we estimated what they were gonna be, I can make that adjustment. Just say anyone who's getting the $500. But right now it's calculated at 14.5.
That's why I interjected. I should know, and I'm sorry, but I was like, wait a second, that wasn't in there.
Yeah. Still can do your vote on the other two. But that will give us room to play to double and triple check.
That adds $5,000 to it.
Well, no.
just 500 person to the people.
Per person.
that-
She never gave a dollar.
Per person, she didn't
I
get
said
how many people.
$500, didn't I?
Yes.
Yeah.
Per person.
Okay,
Person who isn't otherwise going to be touched by
Yes.
any wage increase.
okay. All right, so the motion on the floor is $500 appreciation bonus for employees that are not going to be touched by the WIS study and will not receive a raise based on our study.
I'm
Correct.
not even putting the study in there. I'm just saying a $500 appreciation bonus to anyone who will not be getting any wage increase for 2025.
Okay.
It's coming from ARPA.
And Tony agreed with that.
That was what I agreed to.
Okay.
That's why when he started adding words, I was like.
Yeah, no.
No, you'll vote on that separately.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we have a first, we have a second. We've had some discussion. Any further discussion? Tony, thank you for your comments.
Sure.
No further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand.
5-1.
5-1.
Okay.
5-1 for our. Okay, Tony. You want to?
So I would like to make a motion, right, that the commissioners and the council for 2025 that were not given a raise are eligible for the $500 bonus.
Where you want that coming?
It will follow along the same guidelines as the other employees.
Okay. Do we have a second to that motion? I'll second it, just so we can have further discussion.
Thank you.
So my further discussion is, I have not an issue with commissioners getting that, but I will vote no when it comes to voting myself that raise until everybody in the county gets what they're rightfully deserve. So I'm willing to wait a year for myself for council.
Christina?
Mine is, and until we can balance, and we're not talking about removing, I don't feel comfortable. We're the leaders. The 10 of us. I feel like if we can't put it together and make it work within the numbers that we're given, that this is what we have to spend, I don't feel comfortable with some of the things that we did. I don't feel comfortable adding to that deficit.
And I would agree, absolutely, but that is why we put a freeze on raises for next year, because that will bring us back to balance and not burn. So that's,
Yeah, we have to be careful.
when I
with
say
saying
burn
freeze,
No, free.
right?
okay,
We are just
we're
projecting it
a
as a 2-year
pause,
outreach.
potentially putting a pause on any raises for 2025 to make sure that the budget will balance itself out and not have to go into savings and burning cash. So I understand and I agree. I think that everybody on this council is wanting to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in harm's way. The opportunities are everybody. I've seen, I've watched, I've heard, I've been a part of the hard work that has been done, and I'm very proud to say that. And it's not for me. It's an appreciation, right? That's the thing. And I love your humbleness and how you always defer, and I appreciate and respect that more than you know about you. Like, that is one of your most endearing qualities. Absolutely. Your people first. And I would try to do that this year with making sure that we took care of people.
I've seen everybody's passion on both sides of it.
It is awesome.
Lisa?
I know it's been a long time since council has had a raise, been a long time, but I'm kind of with Christina on this. I feel like we still we're struggling to make this budget work, so I don't want to add to our struggle. Next year comes around and it looks still different, then so be it.
So in clarity, there was 1 year that council got more than the 8,000, whatever it is we get. And that was the 1 year that there was one extra pay period. And I allowed that to happen just because I was told that's really going to cause a lot of bookwork headaches if council doesn't and everyone else does. So there really was a raise once, just to clarify, of eight, I don't know.
Think I'll let that guy in.
All right, so I'll call for a vote.
You didn't hear from Rick.
Can I hear the vote?
I want to hear from Rick. I want to hear what you have to say.
You want to hear what I have to say?
You're all about the people. I want to hear
I
what you
am all about the people. And I've been humbled to be on this board since 2011. And I've seen the board change several times. And it's amazing how much the board can change from year to year, even without changing members. But again, as members change, the board changes. This board's always worked diligently hard to balance and maintain a budget and do the best for our constituents. And we have a great working relationship with our commissioners. And they are as humble as all of you are, that I don't think a raise at this point is really where we need to go for us, even an appreciation bonus. Because we are struggling to get our employees to that midpoint. We've tried really hard to get them there, so they're not struggling. We're not struggling to keep up with wages at other counties, that we're not losing our good employees to these. So I will defer not to receive a raise at this time.
All right, so I look at this kind of two different ways. Is a common question that's asked to me is, why won't you, as the county council board, do something for yourselves with the amount of work that we put into our jobs? And I'll be honest with you, I applaud every one of our employees that has made this work, from our departments to our commission board to our council board. It's just great to see everybody has their own passions, and you can see it when you have conversations with individuals. And my position on this is it's an appreciation bonus. And it's not a raise. It's a one-time offer, one-time giving for the amount of work that everybody's put into this. And we're not taking away from the employees that are not getting a raise. So with that said, I will call for a vote. Those in favor of $500 appreciation bonus for the commission board and the council board, please raise your right hand.
Opposed?
Yes. Oh, opposed the same, sorry. 4-2.
I appreciate you.
Appreciate the thought. That's enough for me.
Okay. We got that off the list. All right, so I had conversation with Council President Crusoe late Friday afternoon. He's in Italy enjoying himself, it sounds like. He wanted to send his admiration for everybody involved in this year's budget cycle. And the fact that we have taken the amount of time and studied wage study results and kept that at the forefront of our conversations. He wants to send his applause for that. He also wanted me to speak on his behalf that let's not, the less deviations we can make from this will keep us in the lane that we need to as we move into the future. Less deviation, or what's the word I'm looking at? Exceptions is the word that he said. So he just wanted to convey that, if we could keep that in the forefront of our mind about exceptions as we get into the next set of topics. So. All right, so yesterday was kind of a busy day in the community center. And I thank Councilman Shaw for his assistance yesterday. We spent some time with validations and validating conversations and through different conversations, this topic has come to my notes today that we need to talk about. So in conversation with human resource, with study, the job descriptions. So in the past, based on what was felt, stipends were given for over and above exceptional performance, or however this started. I don't know the backstory of stipends. So questions have come up. All right, with the new job descriptions that have come out, with all the added duties that weren't listed before that we were paying stipends for, how does that change our optics of this when we start talking about this? So Councilman Scheib helped me yesterday and we were doing some validating. Thank you, Aaron, and for your assistance on this. But we have 5 positions with new job descriptions that have added duties in their job description on this new proposal that's come out, and that has been taken into consideration on our wage study results. Does that make sense to everybody? So before we give a stipend and the job description didn't match why we were given a stipend for, so that's henceforth, we move forward, stipends were given. Now we have job descriptions that include that work that wasn't in there before that are updated. And so.
Reflect in their pay.
What's that?
And reflect in their pay.
Correct.
Okay.
Based on our WIS study. So there's 5 positions that we need to talk about and see how the council board wants to move forward with this. So the first one I'm going to bring up is the PSAP 911 department. Prior to the new job descriptions and the study, so the training coordinator for 911 was listed as a telecom tech, a pole B. Okay. So with all the new information that has come out, that position has moved to a pole C, which I believe that's up. Correct, Aaron?
Correct.
If I'm understanding this, poles and, right. So the information provided in the WIS study accounts for the added duties of what a training coordinator does. But there's still an additional $1,500 listed. There's still an additional $1,500 in the budget proposal for that position. And I'm going to take these one at a time as we move through this conversation. So right now, the training coordinator for
2020.
the 911 department for 2025, and if we need numbers, Kelly might be able to help me with those numbers if anybody needs those. But that position has moved up a pole. It's been rewritten to encompass all those duties, and there's still an additional $1,500 in there. So the question today on the floor is do we want to leave that $1,500 stipend in there, or do we take into account that it's already in the study?
So it went from A to C.
It went from B to
C to
C.
C, excuse me. Okay. And what is that difference between B and C dollar-wise? Please. Probably have it here somewhere.
She's actually one that, yeah, she's actually one that the WIS study didn't touch because of her longevity. So she's not slated for an increase due to the WIS study. So she is one on the appreciation bonus list.
She has
So
the
her-
1,500 plus the 500 right now.
So she was making more at a B than what the C study came out as. So even moving it didn't matter because she was already making more than that next level. So for her,
For
for
that
that
position.
position, I'm sorry. So for that position, if we remove the stipend, she will make
They,
That person.
that position, I'm sorry. That position will make less money than they did in 2024. Correct? So they will actually, that position would actually go backwards. Is that correct? Saying yes.
And it truly is tied to this person right now. Because if they would leave employment and you would hire somebody new, they would go back down to wherever it would be. She was only over and above that due to the fact
She's got 31 years.
longevity.
And she's been through every
So-
job we've
That
ever
used
made.
to be included.
So my initial thought, and I'm sorry, I'm going to talk about the person.
Yeah, please.
This person gave us 30 years of being a great employee. We're saying, don't take a raise. But we're also saying, hey, we're going to make you make less?
Well, no, I would say we're saying you're going to make the same as you did last year would be my suggestion, and then get the $500 appreciation bonus.
Right, but that means we have to leave the stipend. For her to make the
Well,
same amount of
I'm
money as she
saying that
did
the
last year.
stipend probably should move into her wage at this point. Rather than being a stipend, possibly move into wage, so her wage would not be different, and she would still get a $500 appreciation bonus.
But the stipend was included, so it's payroll, she has her wage, that's stipend. So those were included together, correct, Tracy? She gets paid every pay, a little bit of that stipend. Yes, so it's included in payroll. If you take the stipend away, she would be seeing a decrease in her pay.
So what Ruth, I think, was trying to say
I'm not
was,
saying, yeah, not
she was
taking
trying to
it
say,
away.
take that 1,500 and roll it into the wage and not have it be a stipend.
Yes,
But then that would make it over, I mean, it's specified as a stipend, but that would go over and above the WIS study.
which we have other people that are over and above, so to me, that's not an exception.
But you want to roll the stipend in, and it's not separated.
Yeah, I don't want that position, that person to make less money.
Right.
And I do want to appreciate them for what they have done. So that would be a suggestion from me.
to eliminate, if I can get clarity, eliminate a stipend from existing for future employees in that position. It's just taken away. It gets the cloudiness
Cleans it
away,
up.
right? Cleans it up. And just rolling it in and baking it into the wage.
But if we roll it into the wage and make it part of the salary ordinance, then we have to redo the salary ordinance if she left and we were trying to take it back to where it was. Is it easier to have it be a stipend and not baked in?
If you advertise over and above, you're good. Because we have that happen all the time. You have
I
somebody
just want to make
leave.
sure it didn't make an issue when,
In the future.
I'm assuming that if she's been here 30-some years, that she isn't going to be here all that much longer. Would be my assumption. Right?
Hey, what are you saying about this?
No, I'm just saying that if I had been somewhere for 30-some years, retirement would be in the future, right? I didn't mean that bad. I just meant hopefully we've taken care of her well enough that she can retire and not have to work every day. I wasn't, okay.
Wow.
All right, somebody asked for numbers. What numbers did you need, Ruth, when you asked that question?
Oh, I just was asking, what is the difference between a B and a C?
But it doesn't matter because she's already above the
Yeah.
C.
Right, she's already above the C. That position is already above the C at this time.
So I think to Aaron's point, if we bake that into the salary without it being a stipend, we elevate that C up above and it's easier to leave them at a C and put the stipend on. Is that where you're going there? It's still gonna be called a stipend and I know where you're going.
Yeah, I don't like the grayness of that stipend thing.
But But we're not baking it into that salary at a C or full C, then have to back it back out.
But then if a new person comes in, they're gonna come in at whatever the WIS study says, which is gonna be lower anyway.
Yeah, you're gonna be in an A or whatever.
Yeah.
If they're actually in that, but they might have longevity too. They might have been one that's promoted from within. And I think it makes it, to Aaron's point, it makes it a little plainer if you just give them a stipend and you leave the full C where full C is.
So maybe before we take a vote on this, I'm going to bring up the other positions. So everybody has a picture of what we're looking at here, okay?
I
Yes?
don't know that. It's fine. It's fine. I'm sorry.
Put it up.
Give us the information and then we can make comments, right?
Right. That's kind of where I'm going with it. It would be unfair to hold it all and then, all right, so the next position is the Human Resource Department. Presently, that position receives $1,000 stipend. But to reiterate my conversation based on the job descriptions and the WIS study, that position as well is being compensated based on the professionals who did our wage study. So same thing. We got $1,000 stipend involved, but we also have a study in front of us that says the recommended salary to be at midpoint market value.
On that one, I thought we did a vote. Tell me if I'm wrong, because my notes here that say that we took that stipend to a zero.
It was for the treasurer.
That was for the treasurer's office.
I have that also. The
Yeah.
treasurer is now zero, human resources is now zero, and it's still $1,500 for recorder, assessor, and clerk.
It passed 5-2 to keep the $1,000 in play.
Okay. I just wrote it down wrong. I thought it was
For
other.
that position. So that's the second position.
Can we discuss that for just a second? Now, that
Absolutely,
one,
we can.
with the WIS, the base to where it's going is a raise, correct? And that raise is greater than the stipend. Correct? Is that correct? I just want to make sure that I understand. Just like the last one, it would be going backwards. I just want. I did not bring, I'm sorry.
That's on one of these sheets here, just a minute.
Let me get, the dollar amount.
So.
So it's here. So we want just the base.
So we went from that number.
Why is it not on the sheet?
That might be on just a minute.
Aaron, I have
Let's look at this one.
2381, is that correct?
Or what?
Here we
For
go.
the increase, I have 2381.
Without
Here it is.
the
That's a little.
stipend, it was
That off the table.
13. With the stipend, it was 23 something.
Yeah, that's what the page.
To answer your question, Christina, yes, it appears that with the WIS study, that is a raise
Of 1,300.
for a total of 2380.92, and then
It had zero on that. So is it the 2380.97, or you're saying it's
so 70 minus 68 is what?
That's what I gotta say.
This is
2380.
2380, yes, so it's a 2381.
68, 67. Yeah, so it's an increase of $22,380.92.
With,
Not counting the stipend. That is the difference of the base. Look at the base.
Yeah, but
It
last
says over there,
year
but if
she
you
got
take-
$1,000.
Last year
That
she
position
did.
got the $1,000.
So if you take it away, it's
So
only
take it away, it's
1380.
So then it's still 13, yes,
Yeah.
yes. If you take it away, if we took that part away, yes, it would be. I was asking what the difference of the base was. I apologize.
Okay, ready for the next one?
Yes, sir.
All right, so the next one are the administrative assistants within the sheriff's office. So this is not included in a stipend pay. This was in the specialty pay bucket in the sheriff's budget proposal. Okay, so how that works is for his SWAT team, his K-9 officers, his scuba divers, his EVOC instructors, his firearm instructors. There might be a couple I missed, but so that kind of gives you an idea of why the sheriff has his specialty pay bucket in the budget. To compensate for their added duties that they went to school for and got their credentials to be able to keep things in-house at the sheriff's office. So the 3 administrative assistants were on there for a total of $1,050, and how that breaks down is $350 a piece times 3. But there again, it falls within, based on those positions. And the job descriptions have been updated to reflect the added duties and the WISP numbers. We all have that. So those are the 5 positions that we, go ahead.
Can I get some clarity on that, Sheriff?
Can I speak on the 3 cities that now do this? Remember, I submitted this budget prior to knowing that you guys were doing WIS, or this was under the old advisement. So they were added there because I was denied extra pay for them for taking over the civil process officer's job and allowing us to put an officer back in the jail instead of asking for an employee. So when you went with WIS, this is still sitting on the books for that additional $350 for each of them, $11 a paycheck for doing it. I did go along with changing their job descriptions to include this stuff, so it is all cleaned up and in there. So if you were to remove them, that makes sense. Because remember, the submittal is prior to you guys finally coming to the agreement of the study. So I have no issue with any of that. I mean, I know it doesn't matter what I have issue. What I'm saying is it makes sense that those are pulled out.
Sure it matters.
It does matter. Your opinion
Sheriff, we
matters.
appreciate your input.
Yeah, I hope that cleans it up. And the reason, I don't know anything about stipends. I never knew stipends existed. Until I came to my first budget hearing in 2019. I don't know anything about them. I prefer not to have stipends. This specialty bucket, the $350 for each of their deal, the reason that funds are in there and I'm asked for, one, I don't have to start pay programs with pay differentials for shifts and all this other stuff. That cleans it up very nicely. But also, as a terrible example, but a hard one, if I have a canine handler and he's being paid $350 additional for a year to be a canine handler and his dog passes away or her dog passes away in June, he's no longer a canine handler. So we can take those funds for the remaining of the year because those are paid out per paycheck, $11 a paycheck. And those can go back in the bucket. And if we get a new and different canine handler, then the funds go towards that officer. So that's why we work out of that specialty pay bucket. It's made it very nice. Not to say that's probably right, I don't know, but it seems to work for us very nicely.
Well, other departments do that as well. Like, for example, the assessor's office, when they get qualifications, they get.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
There's this per state statute.
Yes, but it's the point of.
Similar
Yeah,
concept.
similar.
Yeah, the concept,
When you
yeah.
get this, you get this. So that is.
So mine is a pre-budget consideration versus where you guys actually went with this, so it makes sense.
So those are the 5 positions that have been identified. And these are probably one of the toughest talks at a budget session that we can have. But tough talks we got to have, right? Nothing personal. So, any further discussion about those? And then we're going to go back through the list and take them one by one. Any additional before we?
Additional, I will bring up, and this is a hot button, and I'm okay with that. Let's just, okay. So we talk about consistency, talking about there's the elephant in the room is our number twos in every department but one. It's 85%. We're currently even 80. How's that consistent?
So you're referencing 85% for our elected offices except for one, which is the sheriff's office for his
Absolutely.
chief deputy.
There
Absolutely.
was two. I thought the surveyor's office wasn't
Oh,
there
the
either,
surveyor.
so there
But
was two.
theirs is based on the fact that if someone has the credentials,
Right, there's statute.
there's a statute there. So that is an arguable piece that is an outlier, that is not, you have to address it for,
He doesn't make it and we don't have that higher paid surveyor, right? So it does fit.
well, I think they do make it based on his current wage.
He is not a certified surveyor.
Correct.
He's at the
Based on
lower
his
base.
current wage, that's his number two,
To
maybe
make
80%.
I just thought, that was just me, clarification. I thought it didn't matter what, right now, how ours worked. It didn't make it, period.
I actually would have to check that or check with Aaron.
Yeah, I can look real quick. I was just doing it.
So in regards to, Tony, your comments here, I'm just replaying what we've talked about in the last several meetings, is the sheriff had come to us and asked us to move $5,500 from one position within his office up to supplement the chief deputy to give that separation in pay based on authority and responsibility. So
Which doesn't.
that's just kind of a
follow the study.
recap. That's a
That does
recap
not
only.
Follow the WIS study.
The study
I'm
didn't
not
have
disagreeing
anything
with you.
for
No.
elected officials and
Correct, but they did have a wage for that person that we took the $5,500,
Oh.
right?
And I don't feel that anybody has come out right and said we can't make exceptions or deviations from this study. I think the common theme and is let's minimize our deviation and exceptions.
As
Not put blinders on and not look at them. Just let's minimize them as much as we can to stay on course.
Can I ask how you the stipends to this? Isn't this
Because we're
two
talking-
separate conversations?
No, it's wages. It impacts wages. Stipends are wages. Because we're talking about potentially baking one in. We're talking about taking one away. We're talking about eliminating some. To me, it's all wages, right? It comes down to wages. Because if you take $1 from somebody that's currently making it, whether you call it a stipend or you call it a salary or an hourly or whatever it is, you take that away, there's better be purpose for that, right? Or if you add it in, there's got to be purpose.
I
So,
don't feel like you could ever be patient and get through the topic at hand.
all right, well, so let's slow the roll here a little bit. And let's go back to the topic at hand of our 5 positions that have stipends and or specialty pay attached to them. And we're going to go through them one by one and move forward on this. So let's start off with the 3 administrative assistants. I will entertain a motion.
Would make a motion that they be exempted from getting any additional wages from the specialty pay bucket.
So Ruth has made a motion to exempt them from specialty pay.
All 5?
Nope,
Just-
we're
Oh,
on the
just
3 administrative
just the 3
assistants.
admin?
We're just taking them by job category as I got them listed. That makes sense?
Yeah. Can you repeat our motion?
Can you repeat your motion, Ruth?
My motion was to exempt the 3 persons, the admin assistants in the sheriff's office from getting specialty pay from that line item, the specialty pay bucket or line, whatever that line was called.
$350 per person.
Correct.
Lowering that amount then?
It would be lowering the dollar amount in the specialty pay line, which has got another name. Just don't know what it is right now.
So do I have a second to that motion?
I will second that so we can talk about it.
Okay, so let's further our discussion. We have a first and a second. Christina seconded it. So just to go back to the question that was asked earlier. So I'm looking at those three positions, and with the WIS study, all three of them are going to be entitled to nice raises based on the WIS study and what was proposed and what has come back.
And they had never received the specialty pay beforehand.
Correct, got it, yeah.
So we're not removing anything.
Just to kind of put that in there because that was brought up on one of the other topics. All right, any further discussion? Christina?
No, that makes sense to me.
Seconded that?
I did.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, no further discussion? I'll call for a vote. All in favor, raise your right hand. We have all that? All right, so let's move up my list. Human resource for the $1,000 stipend.
That the human resource position, since their wage is already going to be increased more than the $1,000 stipend, that we remove them from receiving the extra $1,000 stipend.
Yeah, I'll second that. So we have a first from Ruth, a second from Rick. Position of human resource. Ready for a call to vote?
Open discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, further discussion? I'm sorry, got sidetracked a little bit.
I think there's a challenge here because that is still removing something away from what has been baked into their wage. So just be cognizant of that decision. We want to make sure that that position.
Isn't that what we just did with
No.
the sheriff?
No.
Because we talked about the fact that we brought the study up to what it should be.
That stipend was never dished out. So that employee, those three employees never got that stipend. They've never felt that stipend because that was done beforehand. So that is the only reason why I agree with that, is because they've never received that stipend.
Even though the raise is above and beyond. It brings it down to like a 2% raise instead of. I mean, we have people that aren't getting anything.
But again, that salary was not there to begin with. That wage was not there to begin with, and then pulling it back.
We're pulling it back one place, but
We're
compensating someplace
overcompensating
else.
Again,
More than compensating.
thank you.
I get it that I don't think anybody should make less money than they did before. I think that's a slap in the face.
Yeah.
The wage study says that that is the wage for the duties that are being done. And then to me, that's the wage for the duties that are being done.
Right, and that was why a stipend was used correctly, was because the job description and where we were at in our matrix was here and we couldn't do it here. So we did it here because we thought that position needed to be at a higher level. Now that position is at that higher level.
Yes.
Which was the whole point of the WIS study, right? Was to truly understand our employees and where they were at and
Where they should be.
and where they should be. I'm asking.
I would just say that, did that job description change?
I guess that one I don't know. Did that
It,
That's that change is just.
Oh, it was it doesn't fit inside the matrix. It's an SO position.
Yeah.
So I can't
Cost
tell
of
you.
living went up. So that's why they got the wage increase, right?
That is just mid
That's
range.
probably one of the factors.
Yeah.
And we're still getting a raise above. Now, I would say 8% less than what the federal government said the cost of living increase was.
Any further discussion? All right, I'll call for a vote. We have a first and a second. We've had our discussion. I call for a vote on removal of the $1,000 stipend from the human resource position. All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. Okay, so that leaves last to talk about the training coordinator for the 911 department. So I will entertain a motion in a second, and then we can have further discussion.
I'm sorry, which one are we doing?
Be the motion part again.
I will make the motion. I make the motion to keep, I motion to keep the stipend at 1,500 where it's at that's my motion. I have a motion to keep it the way it is right now in our budget.
With or without the additional $500?
With the addition, with the appreciation bonus is my motion.
We have a second to that motion.
I'll second, just so we can talk about it.
We have Christina and Rick, first and second, to keep it.
Keeping the exact same wage, but that she gets the $500 appreciation bonus.
Because it didn't change.
Because it didn't change.
Yeah.
And because that position, that person, we're actually gonna talk about the person. Who finds an employee that stays 30 years? The knowledge and what we built into that person? And I don't think anybody should make less than what they did before.
I'm going to be the devil's advocate a minute. We just have to be careful talking about people because we have others that are long-term employees that are not entitled to raises as well. So we need to keep it at positions.
Well, that's why
In retrospect.
that's why I think that that position still, it should get the appreciation bonus because you're doing it for 28 others that aren't getting raises.
28 others aren't getting $1,500 stipend either.
But the 28 other are all making their same wages they did last year.
So is the training coordinator's position.
Right, she's making that position is making the same amount as last year, which makes it the same as the other 28, correct? They're all of those people are getting, and now they're not getting a raise this year, they're not getting a raise next year. So that's 2 years of cost of living increase without an increase in pay. I don't feel comfortable taking from someone who has built their life based on what they have and to have them go backwards, because this one would be actually going backwards if we remove it.
And my only thought on that is, we haven't decided what's going to happen in next year's budget process. We think we have a direction, but it's not decided yet.
And to the point Ruth was trying to make earlier about making this into the wage versus leaving it as a stipend. you know, if you look at this, if it's part of her wage, then she's only getting the money. But we're leaving it as a stipend because it makes more sense payroll wise to leave that as a full fee and not try to bake that wage in and then take it back out. Did I get that right, Aaron?
Again, in the event that she would leave, this person would leave, you could say, well, the stipend no longer stands because now you're going back to the study amount of what that training coordinator should make. So then that stipend would be removed and they would be at that level.
Since I've been around a little while, I've worked with payroll many times and trying to working with the auditors, HR, payroll, trying to reduce the amount of work that payroll has to do because some of the stuff that we did back then causes a lot of issues now. So I'm very cognizant of when they tell me that this, you know, if we leave it, it'll make life a lot easier.
That was the primary reason why I left it. That's why I said to leave it as a stipend. I agree that making things easier for our payroll department is important.
All right, so while we're still in the discussion mode, me personally, I would like to look at this as maybe a component of the specialty pay that he already has in place versus what we call stipend, okay?
Like the sound of that.
I do too.
Because here's where we're at. When the sheriff took over communications, we were at rock bottom through the diligent efforts of all involved. It has been rebuilt and maybe full staff or one person short.
Yes.
But the amount of work that goes into training somebody off the street who has no knowledge of public safety, emergency services, and 911 calls, it's not an overnight process to train them.
That's all.
So that's what I have to say about it.
Well, needs a chance.
Is there funding in there for that? Is there enough funding in there?
Yeah, if you remove the 3 and just leave 1 in there, there's funding in there for that. Or keep the money in
So
there.
do not reduce the 1,050 that you earlier chose to remove.
Yeah.
Leave that in there and then reduce the 1,500. There would be enough, is what you're saying.
I'm assuming if you take 3 out of 350,
Yes.
you can still get it.
It's not enough. It's not enough.
It's going to be 450 short.
Okay,
From what?
there you go, from what she needs.
Or we say, okay, we have $1,050 specialty pay for that position. I mean, we can kick this can about every direction. So Sheriff, you had something to interject a few minutes ago, I'm sorry.
I was just trying to help in that if this position ever does retire here in the near future, please do not consider these stipends. It just muddies the water. We've fixed the job descriptions now. We're paying adequately. Let's just keep that ball rolling and it makes it a lot easier for all of us.
I like your component of specialty pay because you can prorate it
That makes
based on
sense. It's a very good
their
idea.
duties.
Yeah.
So any further discussion? If not, we're going to call for a vote on the motion that's on the floor.
And restate that motion on the floor, please, Auditor.
Keep the stipend with the ARPA bonus of $500. So you got 15, keep stipend of 1,500 plus 500 ARPA bonus.
Okay. All in favor, raise your right hand.
What do I got?
I like the idea that we're coming back to the table.
Opposed, the same?
Yeah.
5. All right, so I know it's not historical for a person in this position at this table to make a motion to speak, but I would like to move forward with a motion in regards to the training coordinator. I would like to entertain a motion of specialty pay to go into the specialty pay category of $1,000.
Only 1,000?
That's my motion. For the purpose of the training coordinator position. I have a second. Okay. Motion dies due to lack of second.
Want to make a motion though, as you said, except for $1,500 going into that specialty line.
For the training coordinator position.
Yeah, $1,500.
Do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Good.
Are we,
So further discussion.
is your motion including the
Second,
$500 appreciation or no?
Yes, they would still be eligible for the $500 appreciation bonus because their wage would not increase that from this year to the next year.
Okay, so you'll need to rescind your second and amend your motion, Ruth.
Did you second it?
I did.
You want to rescind
I
it?
thought earlier we'd already addressed those.
We're into a new motion.
No, the 29 people that would get the special, or that didn't get a raise.
And I didn't put a number of 29 people.
I
I
know,
just
but-
said.
Right, she just said $500 for
I'm
people.
sorry, they asked me if I was putting it in my
To
motion.
me,
I
that's
just wanna make sure
already
we
been
leave it all.
addressed.
That's satisfactory.
Yeah.
Okay, good point.
Makes
So
sense.
let's move forward with discussion then. Thank you, Rick.
What's that?
What's the difference between what I voted on? What you're talking
Where
You was
it won't be a
with that
stipend
1,000.
anymore, it'll be specialty pay. So it's a different place.
about? Oh, okay, well, okay.
So it'll be, instead of it being inside of our budget, right, it'll be inside the sheriff's where his
Gotcha, okay.
specialty pay is. That's the only reason I didn't vote with you.
And at $1,500.
Yes. I have a question. With it being specialty pay, that means that the sheriff, if he doesn't use it for the training coordinator, if he wants to use it somewhere else for specialty pay, he can, correct?
So I read it.
So it doesn't keep it to that position. Is
I
that
kind of understand what you're saying, but the balance of that is just the number of people we're heading into for the year who qualify for those. So there's no fluff or fat built in there.
okay, but if you
No,
had.
do you mean if she retires?
Potentially hired a new person, we talked about going away as a stipend.
Oh, yeah.
If you hired a new person, you could choose.
For the remainder of the
give your
year.
Training officer a specialty pay.
Or redirect
I
it
would-
someplace else too. It's truly
Yeah.
in his control.
I don't want to speak too negatively about anything, but I'm not in favor of, I think we've got the job descriptions where they should be. And you guys have found the baseline for the pay. I think that's what I should be following when it comes to this position. There is consideration for time, experience, and years of service. I love that we're acknowledging that. But I think once that position is open again, I don't think that's a consideration. Maybe a very minimal one, just a single $350 if that's, I do pay the other trainers $350 each. So that might be something that I could come to council with, but yeah,
I just wanted clarification.
that's a very good point. Yeah,
Understanding
So
exactly
when
what
this
we were
person
doing.
retires.
yeah.
All right. So to kind of recap Sheriff's conversation is he's on board with following the wage study and the numbers that have been presented. Is kind of the cut and short of that.
Yes.
Thank you for considering the conversations that are taking
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
Any further discussion before we call for a vote? Can you repeat the motion made?
Ruth 1, Tony 2, specialty pay for the position of the training coordinator in the amount of $1,500. And to basically remove the stipend.
Okay. I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor of that motion, please raise your right hand. Opposed? Okay.
One other question. Since that is shorting his specialty pay budget $450, is there room to add that to his specialty pay in his budget without putting his budget over what was advertised.
That's in general, isn't it? Specialty pay falls in general?
Yes.
So it's in general,
It falls in general, not,
the specialty pay itself
Okay.
falls in general.
okay,
Yes.
so that should be fine. That's my only thought.
Could you, Kelly, sorry. Don't do that. Everybody needs to stop.
My sister's name is Kim. Just about everybody.
That's what I was referring to. I apologize.
Yeah, did you meet her?
Yes, I did. In a previous life. Anyways, so my question is, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I really
It's,
Kind of breaks the ice.
no ice. Listen, it's all warm and fuzzy. The question I have for you is didn't we remove that 1,050 or did you? Because you guys were eliminating that 1,050 special pay because we eliminated those three. So is that still the
it's
case?
only $450 that would need to be added.
No, but earlier on, when we eliminated those three positions getting it, I thought you guys removed that out.
Right,
Is that the
1,050.
But it hadn't happened.
Yeah, but we haven't done it yet.
Okay, I didn't know if we voted on that. That was my
Yes.
question.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yep.
There's a lot of A personalities in here that are trying to like jump on me right now. I'm gonna get off.
Yes,
All right, we're good.
and we will make those numbers work.
Sorry.
You're okay.
I had to catch myself because I was worried I was gonna do it again.
All right, next item on my list, I'd like to talk about county highway. We had a lot of discussion through our normal budget workshops of different proposals that Chip had diligently worked on. Then after our last meeting, I know I have personally been able to sit down and talk with Chip. And he sent through like option number 799 to us.
That option 800.
So looking at his most recent proposal, did you get that email? All right, so reading through his email and which is very nicely written, I'll give you credit, Chip. I understood it, so it was good. Chip has got the current average of his different classifications of his employees, the current average of all those employees in that group rounded out by the number. And then he has included what his option 3 request was, what the WIS study numbers show, the average between, and then he went on to say in his email request that there's a 12% up from current average or 12.5% up from current average. So I know it's kind of frightening when we talk about 12 and 12.5% from current averages. You written the note?
Nope.
Okay. However, based on the information that has been provided, when we talk about 12.5% up from the average to one category, it comes out to maybe 28 cents. Up to $1.33 or an hour based on coming from current average with the 12.5% proposal. So it's very minimal impact versus the original 18 to 20% that you had asked for, Chip. If memory serves, I know we've slept a lot since then, but I remember the original request was like 18%. Now we're down to a possible proposal of 12.5%. Or somewhere in between. Me personally, to move this forward, and I would like to have serious consideration and take a hard look at the 12.5% proposal up from his average based on the numbers provided. Based on, we have experienced employees based on, we have to consider county highway, emergency service, public safety, based on, depending upon the type of incident, they may be the last ones there clearing the road so we can travel safely. So that's what I say.
This one
I'm ready for comments.
this is the one that you're talking, this is what you think
Yes.
we should do?
Yes.
So in your opening statement, you said this is proposal number 999 or whatever, but, which to me shows, Chip's very concerned about his employees and trying to maintain them to the point that he has given us multiple options and trying to best serve the community through his work and also to retain his employees so he can continue that level of work for the county. I think we ought to give it very serious consideration to that 12.5%.
Which it's frightening, but when you do the math, it's anywhere from 26 cents up to $1.30 something. Based on category of how the employee is classified. So, all right. Discussion? Thoughts? Let's have thoughts. How about thoughts?
Unless you want a motion.
Or we can entertain a motion to move forward and then we can have further discussion.
I need to ask,
Go ahead.
Jeff, do you feel like your latest proposal will address the concerns and eliminate the mass exodus?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Have a motion on the floor.
The final proposal, the last proposal of Chip,
At 12 or 12.5?
12.5%.
Thank you. I'll second that.
We got a first from Tony, second from Shay. I will try to do this once we're done. All right, any further discussion?
No, it was 12.5%, is that correct?
Yes. But the dollar amounts will be there then
Okay.
when I send this over to you.
I had just written down 12, sorry.
So we have first, second. Here's the
For
deal.
further discussion.
Yeah, so it costs more money to retrain just one of his employees over the course of the 2 years that it'll take than this raise will cost the county. The additional funding, because the cost of training is never baked in when we're recognizing tenure, and it needs to be looked at. So we can look at the expense, and we don't have enough money and all those things, but what I will tell you is the training costs are exorbitant. They're huge. When I was in the restaurant industry, I will tell you that you can't even imagine the cost that it takes to train a new employee and how much that costs you. It was over, just as a cook, it was over $15,000 to retrain a cook. So that turnover, right? How many mistakes can we afford, right? Again, the training cost alone is such a significant savings comparatively speaking if we can eliminate the exodus.
And my question then to you is, does it take more time to train someone in the highway department than it does in any other department in Steuben County government?
No, but that's the point of training, right?
Yeah.
And making sure we get the right people that can drive the trucks and are licensed in those categories, right?
And my only thought there is, I'm not ready to waver from the straight road that we've pretty much been on, following the wage study, to start now branching off.
So then why do we do it for EMS and the sheriff's department as first responders? And why is that any different?
It wasn't at a wage study time. I mean, what we did for the sheriff last year, we're seeing it wasn't even enough to get them there. We saw that we were way under, and my look at this, my initial look at this is there's really only three of your categories, instead of looking at all of them, that really need attention. It looks like to me. It looks like it's your foremen, your operators, and your truck drivers. I mean, is your mechanics come in at at the, I mean, what you asked for is what the WIS is. So they're in their level. Your sign tech and your laborers, I mean, that, I don't believe that's enough to have somebody jump and leave a job and to change for 47 cents or 28 cents. Now, your foreman, your operator, and your truck drivers, I think truck drivers, that does fall, I feel like, how we've talked about paramedics and how we've talked about things like that. I don't think we're making a lot of new truck drivers, and with the restrictions and how we watch people, I mean, in my business, I watch people lose their CDLs every day for things that have nothing to do with being at work. I mean, there's so much restrictions on those. Those are more, that feels to me like that's under that first responder, they start making them.
So do you think those thoughts went in the study process to come up with a wage or no? I'm not trying to be mean.
No, I don't know that it takes about, if it took into, you know, whether or not they're there or not. I think it takes into what the average is, not on what is happening. With our sheriffs, obviously was one that we did, that the WIS study brought almost everybody up. Was there any bring up in EMS, or were we still, I don't remember.
Oh, yeah, there was bring up in EMS.
There was some.
There was some.
There were some above and some, I'm sorry, it's been a minute. Yeah, they're on a separate page.
That's not the one I have here somewhere. Right here.
Thank you for bringing this paper with me.
Hey, I did it just for you.
As much hard work as some.
You have 10 minutes.
Would you, Chip has something he would like to maybe give some input. Are you guys okay with hearing that?
Yeah.
To answer Christina's question, so the end result, the 12.5%, is based off the WIS study. That is the proposed pay raise for the mechanics pay group. The problem with, on the management side of operating the WIS study is have a definite chain of command per my job descriptions, per my SOPs in the department. Foreman, mechanic, operator, truck driver, sign tech, laborer. And those job duties are different, and the responsibilities per each level are different. For the WIS study, and I understand why this happens, it's an average statewide, and I'm coming from a different highway department into your highway department. I'll tell you, my highway department, I required my sign tech to have a Class A CDL, have other job descriptions, and he was rated higher in our hierarchy than we have them here. But just the pure WIS study, I'm telling my foreman who manage people on a job site have to make calls, especially in emergency situations. They're going to make the same money as my mechanic and has to manage no people. Also going to turn around and tell my truck drivers who are required to have CDLs by statute, have physicals, take on call, which means for a week, every rotation, they don't get to go wherever they want, do whatever they want. They're attached to a phone. If there's an emergency, they're going out and responding. They make the same money as my sign tech. Per our job description, this is perfectly fine. He's not required to have a CDL. And so because he has no CDL, we do not require him to be on call. So I'm telling a guy who has no requirements to have a CDL and no on call, he's going to make the same money as my truck drivers. That's a management issue. So there needs to be a differentiation between those. So just trying to keep everything simple. I agree with the mechanics pay raise was proposed 12.5%. I just shuffled out 12.5%. And there is a differentiation then between those pay groups. That's all I did. That's my issue with operating purely under a WIS. There is a difference between those job duties. And my sign tech, my truck drivers should not make the same, just like my foreman and mechanic should not make the same.
Okay. Any further discussion before I call for vote? All right. Those in favor of the 12.5% up from average for the county highway department, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, the same?
I'm okay with that.
Thank you, Chip, for all your work on that.
Thank you.
I appreciate the conversations between the last meeting.
It's in the Bible.
Can we take 3 minutes?
I think we're done.
No, we're not.
We have 2 more items. Sorry.
Talk to Chip real quick before.
That's fine, take 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We're in recess for 5 minutes.
6, I'll be back in 2.
Do we need to pause things?
I can pause this one, that one doesn't pause.
You might not miss
Okay, so we're gonna go back in session.
No, it made sense.
All right, I've got two more topics. We're gonna circle back around to a conversation Tony was having earlier, reference the chief deputy's position of the sheriff's office versus the 85% versus not the 85%. To look at those numbers realistically, I asked the girls over here to figure it out. If we want a further continuation about this for this year, going into 2025, the total cost of that's going to be $102,332.35.
Was how much?
$102,332.35 to bring him up to the 85% to match all the other chief deputies.
That'll be his salary.
That'll be his salary.
And what is it gonna be? What did we approve already?
Adjustment.
I had figured that 101,128.
760.
So currently with the added $5,500, correct?
Yes.
So currently, the proposal for 2025 budget for the chief deputy's position is $83,768.
Yep.
83,768.
I had 102, 302, 85, is that right?
102, 332, 35.
330.
102, 332.35 is 85% for that office. To bring that position into 85% of the elected official.
Yes.
Currently proposed going into 2025 is $83,768 for a difference of, somebody want to do some quick math?
What's the 102?
332 minus 83,768.
So about 29,000?
Yes.
So I asked this at conference. Anytime I had an opportunity to sit with other council members and, I mean, right? We only know what we know inside this bubble. And so I always take these opportunities to ask. And it's I found less that said they did it for their chief deputy in the sheriff's department than that said they did. It was, I think DeKalb does. I think I met one other person. Everybody else, they looked at me like I was crazy that we did it for all of our positions. Some of them had never heard of it at all, that we were ahead. I will tell you, every time I go to these conferences, I realize Steuben County is in front of the ball. I'm very impressed every time, because every time I think, oh, I'm going to go down there and it's going to be, and every time we are we are more progressive and more forward and trying to look forward than most of the counties that I sit with and talk to.
All right, so Tony, it's a difference of $18,564.35. The difference, $18,564.35. That's the difference if we was to continue conversation to move that position up to the 85%. We'll have to come up with an additional $18,564.
So if we choose to do so as a council, I personally, my mindset was I would probably feel more comfortable taking it off in a couple bites, right? As opposed to one big sum if we're going to do it, but like just showing good faith to the department if we wanted to do so. I think that it would probably be very appreciative of that. Because that wasn't thought of in the past. If council decided to use it.
So the only problem with taking bites, Tony, and just based on past experience of our last 4 years, is that we don't know what next year is going to bring us to take that second bite. That makes sense? What's that?
And that's okay.
Oh, it is okay, but I'm just looking at this from all angles that I try to look at things at.
Can I ask Karen a question, or the sheriff? I think he's currently at 71,016, am I correct? That's the number that I'm
That sounds
about right.
Yep.
Where's that right now?
Yes.
With the 2025 numbers as presented here, what percentage are we at currently? Would that make sense based on this number here to the sheriff's elected office, fit the salary?
Say
What
2024
percentage?
total of 73, 146 then.
7308.
Yeah, no, it was 71 before we did the bump afterwards. It's 73, 146, right? Because that's what that total 24 is.
So what I'm asking them to figure out under the 2025 proposal as it's in our budget packet right here, what is the percentage as it currently is written?
About 66%, I think.
That's what I'm searching for right now.
66.
He's got 0.6957.
So 69%, 70%.
You figured on the 126, 410, and the 83, 768.
Yeah. Figured it on the 71016.
Yeah, but it should be on the 73, 146. So that's 14%.
The proposed elected official salary for that office for 2025, based on the proposed chief deputy pay for that office for 2025. What is that percentage? 69%. So if the budget passes with no changes or adoptions to those people for that position, it sits at 69% right now, going into 2025.
I don't understand what you just said. Please
We
explain.
took the numbers for the 2025 proposed for the elected official.
83,768.
We took the numbers for the 2025.
Oh, what his percent is of
Yes, so
his
going
pay.
into
Okay.
2025.
I just didn't understand.
He's at 69%
I thought we were talking about pay
versus the
increase.
85% of other chief deputies. Does that help?
Yes, he's making, instead of making 85%, he's making 69%.
There we
With
go.
the way we proposed
We
it.
got it. There's some knuckles on that one. All right. So
So the way we did it, right, it's like getting a 14.5% increase, pay increase. If we took it to the study, that's like a 40% increase. That's a lot of money.
Sheriff, do you have an insight into this?
I don't think you want me to speak on this topic.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate our chief deputy. Okay. I just want to be very careful on how I say this. Because I appreciate what you guys have to do budgetarily, and we're not here in this position today because of this board. But it has been a long time of issues and thoughts and not doing what we're doing for all, if that's the feeling, that's got us here today. So to say that's a lot of money, yes, it is. But you've also been reducing that position for a lot of time, a lot of money for the appropriate pay for that person, if we're based off a countywide. That one kind of strikes I did that position, and I made, it was always a struggle every year. I don't mean living, I mean the consideration to what we do with other spots and feeling whether or not you deserve that, or I think that should be it. Set a baseline. Follow it or don't follow it. But I don't think, I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
So if we want to move forward on this, I will entertain a motion. We
But
kicked the
this
can a
is,
lot.
yeah, but this is in general, right? This is where we're already, and I'm not, this is less about I'm sorry, RJ, this is less about
It's true.
position and more about the budget, what I'm gonna say next. We're already over here.
We're not done with our discussions today yet either.
Yeah, but just taking it off the ARPA line to make us balance doesn't fix, it doesn't really fix it. I don't know how we haven't to do it. With the numbers that have been presented to us that we went over and over and over again inside of budget times.
That's why potentially incrementally, right?
I mean, what we've approved already is a 14.5% increase. That's larger than anywhere else.
Clearly, that was out of line for a while.
Well, hold on a second.
Yeah,
Hold on,
no, I
time out.
agree. I mean, isn't that a big bite at it?
No, you didn't though. You didn't do a 14.5%. He sacrificed how much for the other position that was supposed to get that kind of raise and took it. So all it was is realign. So to say it was a 14.5% increase wasn't really a 14.5% increase.
But he is getting a 14.5% increase and it will stay. It will not go away. It's not a one-time thing.
But-
We're baking it in.
You're baking in, but then if we're following the WIS, the other position now makes a sacrifice to make that happen. Right? For this year, but
For 25. Going forward, that's same consideration.
well, but they'll have to bring that position back up.
Where's the money?
That matron position, just for the next sheriff, deputy sheriff, that matron position's out of line, is according to WIS.
Where's the money gonna come from, Tony? Tell me where.
Again, I am not arguing with the fact of the matter is that, but if we're going to potentially do a wage pause to catch back up with the inflationary and everything else that's going on. I'm not saying you have to take the whole bite out of it. Listen, this council there's 7 people for a reason. I'm just simply saying is if you did it incrementally, it's manageable.
It came from lit. That come from lit?
We do wages out of it already.
For the purpose of this discussion, we look at the 18,000, or I'm sorry, 18.
We can pay out of different funds. Every one of them we pay out of different funds makes it 10 times more work done for the payroll.
But
We
you
have them
could,
now,
but
but we
it's an
don't like
option.
them.
but you could,
Well,
begrudgingly.
no, we don't. How much did we have? Oh, we had 114. We had 114 room to play.
Again, I would say if it could be palatable in incremental. I think that good faith moment, recognizing that we're going to get it there, it's just not the big bite out of the whole apple and eat it all at once, shows that we respect it and we want to fulfill that, whether or not, let me back up, it's not about respect. If we can figure out how to get there. You're right. We are. I won't argue that. But we all recognize that we have to take a pause next year. Because we can't afford to do this. Otherwise, we will, with Wagner, Irwin, and Shealy's recommendation, thank God, but Peters tells us the other side of that story, right?
I just think good intentions is what has happened to this country to allow us just a little bit more in debt. Just a little bit more cash. Just do a little bit more because it's good intentions. It's great. It's a good thing.
You're not wrong.
Ready for a motion?
If we want to move forward on this, I will entertain a motion. One way or the other.
A motion that we take 10,000 out of 11-12 list, add to the chief deputy's salary for 2024, or
11,
2025.
11, 12 lit. Okay, so the motion on the floor.
A little over half of what it would take to get there.
So take a bite at it.
I will second that.
Okay, so we got.
I have a question.
Just a minute, just a minute. Let's get caught up over here.
Oh, no.
So you got all that ready to move on with discussion?
Yep.
Okay, let's open the floor for discussion.
Is there any other part, Kelly, of the sheriff's budget that comes out of lit? Is there anything else that comes out of lit, or does none of the sheriffs come out
I
of
don't think
lit?
any of the sheriff comes out of lit.
Because my only thought was, is if they paid something, maybe you
Yeah.
could take
I mean, they
those
have-
down so
they
that
have-
wages could stay in, you know what I
They have
mean?
public safety, but they don't have lit economic development.
Was there room in just public safety?
Some of them were pretty tight.
Mine was just about trying to,
Sure.
like I did that other one where we balanced it, we kept all wages in
Sure.
one and we moved, I mean,
Makes sense. Because
I would like to make her job easier if possible.
I understand.
You didn't do that one. Okay. She's gonna check what public safety, that's one that we did not have to mess with.
Is that the 1235? Or, no, that's, no, it's the,
That's what it's actually adopted.
I was just trying to understand which one is the public safety. Oh, 1170?
Okay, so if you go based on the revenue coming in versus what we're spending. Revenue estimate is 1,703,228. We're currently at 1,653,213, $50,000 to play with. You're spending basically everything you're bringing in. You'll take 10,000 out of there, take you down to 40,000.
It's 1170.
Leave it alone.
That one doesn't carry a very big catch.
Well, if you want to get input from maybe some commissioners.
Yes, it's just about what's good and easiest for payroll being one step.
This fund carries a lot less cash than.
Public safety. Comes out my way. Is there any entitlement under that? That their supervisory responsibilities
Safety.
are over PSAS that we can look at?
I wasn't thinking about that when I said it.
Did you specify what account when you said it? I thought you said. Okay.
Did you?
PSAS, let me know.
It has an additional appropriation.
I heard the latter part.
So,
I'm sorry, I was just trying to make it better for payroll if it was an easier, if there was a way to do it that puts us outside our salaries that come out of. Just
Already have a maximum
So-
advertising
it's
that.
probably recommended that we keep it at your 11-12 motion. Is what I'm gathering from our cohorts over here. So-
Maximum allocation.
Any other further discussion before we call for a vote? The motion on the floor is $10,000 out of 11-12 lit. First by Rick, second by Tony. So I am going to call for a vote. All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, the same. Okay.
Chief.
Ready for me to move on to my last topic that I have? Okay. Sorry to keep everybody so long, but we had a plate of stuff that we needed to clean up.
So much for a short meeting you promised me this morning.
I didn't promise, I said I was hopeful. I learned you don't promise in these meetings at budget time.
Second time around, he said between 11:30 and 12, so a little bit ago, I said you have 40 minutes left.
Well,
That's how they do it.
Okay, last topic. This may or may not be a hot button, but it's worth a conversation. Is we have had an open spot in the treasurer's office since March 7th. Here's what I know in my research of this. When we had a transfer out of that department, the employee went to the health department. It was asked not to post that position, to fill it. Instead, it was filled with a part-time position. So since March 7th, we've had a spot in the treasurer's office open, unfilled. The current makeup of that office is we've got the treasurer, chief deputy, a half-timer shared between the recorder's office and the treasurer's office, and then an additional part-time. And the message I take out of everything I've researched into this is that there's no job being undone and the duties are being met with their current staffing as it sits. And I base that on the fact that it's sat open, a full-time position has sat open since March 7th. So my conversation to this is, do we keep this position open or do we defund it? That's my,
It went through May settlement and getting ready to go through another, so.
that's my input to this, and I'm bringing it up for conversation with the council board.
There's been enough
Why
money in
weren't we
part-time.
given an opportunity to talk to the I mean, why is this the first I'm hearing of this?
Well, so when I was reading through my budget packet last night, I seen we still had an open slot. I never recall seeing a job posting for that position. So I come in this morning and I did my homework and I did my research, and here's what I know. Okay.
Have we had a chance to debrief the treasurer? Find out?
I'm not sure what to debrief. I'm gonna be honest with you, and I may be ignorant, but I'm not sure what there is to debrief, other than I know it was asked not to post this job and fill it. We can speculate
By
by the treasurer.
Well, then if they don't think it needs to be filled, it doesn't need to be filled.
That's why I brought it to the table today. What's that?
I'd like to know what I don't know. Something does, two doesn't make four.
I mean, there's speculation and there's assumptions, but we don't want to speculate and assume. And
Speculation. Okay.
so that's what I know. It's sat open since, here's the facts, it's March 7th is when it's vacated. It's been open since then. It's not been posted, nor has it been requested to be posted. And things are flowing fine in that office. The workflow through that office hasn't changed. It hasn't slowed down. We haven't been neglected of any of their statutory duties based on this open position not being filled. So my question is, do we want to talk further about defunding this position? And then after the first of the year, if the newly elected treasurer comes in and says, here's what I think I need, we can revisit it. I know in the past councils, that's been the approach. Why is it sat open for now, what, March to what are we at, 7 months? It's just a strong message that I felt, to do justice to my position today, I needed to research this morning and get our information. So that's what I know. So there it is.
Great observation. And I don't have it in front of me. They have a part-time line item that has been enough to pay for anybody that might have been needed.
And I've also been, and part of this is that during the busy season, 2 times a year, they have a busy season, 2 times a year, that there's additional part-time that normally come in and work historically and have for years to help get through the spring and the fall
And
for
what's
that
the,
2 weeks.
what was budgeted in that part-time line item, please? Versus how much has been spent, because it's a busy season coming here.
She added to it last year. Looks like total of 2024 was 7,000. Right now, it's at 3,000 requested.
Well, okay, and what has been spent so far? You're saying 7,000 is what was in the part-time line item?
Yes.
Okay.
Adopted 3 and then total 7. So I think she must have come back and asked for an additional appropriation. And she has expended of that $6,707.
But she's gonna make it through the busy season because she hasn't asked for anything more. Okay.
So. There it is.
And for next year, she asked for 3.
Wonderful opportunity to help our general budget balance when we approach it.
But I think we should, if we do decide to delete a wage from that line item for a person, that we ought to allow more in a part-time. If they increased it from 4 to 7 and they've expended almost 7, that we should at least put 7 in that.
So maybe bump it back up to 7,000 is what you're thinking, Ruth?
No, if they've already spent 7, it's been appropriated on top of, or 6, and they've still got another busy season coming.
But they haven't asked us for any more.
Right.
No
We
one
can't
has
act upon that
businesses
until
coming.
it's an additional appropriation request. But we can talk about it for the 2025 budget.
We have one more reading, right?
I say, how much work does it make for you all if we table it till we meet on the 28th? It doesn't affect, I just don't want to, you know what I mean? Sometimes there's things that come in front of us that you guys are like,
It's gonna take too much work.
I just want to understand.
We'll take that dollar amount out. It'll affect the amount of money that you need to pull from wherever you're gonna pull from for the general fund. So it would be less to pull from wherever you pull from. Right now, it's talked about insurance.
It looks so everybody has a chance.
So I was gonna say, it may fall on its
Table
face,
it or
but I can make a
vote on it,
motion to
then we
table
can
this
vote.
until the October 28th.
Is that the form of a motion?
That's my motion.
So
My
you have a
motion is
motion to table this.
to
the
table this,
28th.
to table this conversation and revisit it at our next hearing on October the 28th is my motion.
Okay. Do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion?
I've just learned if there's anything here, anytime something happens, there's always more discussion, more things to learn. So that's why I think it's only a couple weeks.
No further discussion? All in favor of Christina's motion, please raise your right hand. Opposed, the same.
Who's our liaison?
What's that?
Who's our liaison?
Who's the treasurer?
And I think.
You are, okay.
Very more to that. I don't want to go ask questions on your guys' behalf, so if you want to follow up and get additional information on this, but. All right, so before we get into the last item of business, I need to know, is there any other budgetary items that need to be discussed, looked at, possibly amended or changed for the 2025 budget from the rest of my council members? Christina?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
Tony? Ruth? Lisa? Rick?
Not at this time.
There's an open door. There's an open door.
So we may not have the exact number of what we need to adjust. When we come into the meeting, it was $155,000. We will, I don't know if that's easily accessible now or if we need to, what do we need to do to get the new number?
I don't think, we don't have that many changes, truthfully.
So our last decision we have to make today is we have to give guidance to the auditor's office on where to make these adjustments from. Do we make it from our insurance money to bring us up to cover the $155,000 that we would normally burn? Where do we want that money to come from? That's the next discussion, and then that's it on my list. Thank God, right? Everybody can celebrate. And it's only 11:59, so we're still not too far off.
60 seconds.
I think we'll bring it out in the insurance line.
Okay? So
I'll
we have-
second that.
have a first and second to make the adjustments, necessary adjustments out of the insurance. Any further discussion? All right, no further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. 6-0. All right,
Good job.
so that covers our plate of stuff. Kelly,
I raised my hand now. I'm good.
just a minute.
I was just,
We're not ready to suspend the meeting now.
I will, make notes of all this and get this up and he asked me, because I didn't hear him on the phones. So
Is
you guys
there
will probably talk to him too, but I'll get him his stuff.
anything else that you ladies need to move forward into our next? Okay, 28.
Thanks, Dan.
That was
One more time. I think so. I think the decision was made on ARPA, was it not?
Yes, we're moving forward with the ARPA committee on 21st.
At the
It was talked
commissioners'
about,
meeting.
we'll have a ARPA meeting at 8, the commissioners can vote on it at 9, and then it'll come back to the council on the 28th, final approval.
Yes. That's the way I was going to do that, yes. It's not, yeah.
Sorry, I feel like something pregnant in there.
So the way I'm going to do that, we were talking, because we only advertise so much in an insurance line. We're going to create a line for ARPA. And I'll do. I'll make it work. I'll show you how we're going to do it.
Okay, so no further business. I move that we suspend our 2025 budget meeting session this morning. And we will reconvene on the 28th of October at 9 a.m. We have some regular business that we will have to tend to on the 28th, and then we can go back in and open up our budget workshop and finish this out and bring it home.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for everything.
Just a note that I probably will be absent.
Yes.
On the 28th?
Sure.
Make sure your mics are off, please.
February, so.
Thank you, everybody.
They've been changing.
Makes sense.
Mr. Bill.
Well, that's Kelly.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Can I hit the speaker button for you too? Aaron?
The speaker won't work most of the time. And at one point it went to static, turned it off, let it wait a while, then I turned it back on.
Yes. I often have stuff moving.